Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Would you believe that the number one story that is blowing up the internet at the moment is of a pet squirrel named Peanut the Squirrel? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is not a story about the presidential election, which is happening in just a few days. It's not a story about Trump or Kamala Harris. No, 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 no. Ladies and gentlemen, the story about Peanut the Squirrel being taken by the government and government overreach and then therefore being killed by the government is really angering a lot of people on the left and the right. Those people that actually have a little bit of compassion and empathy for a squirrel that was doing no harm, did nothing wrong, but apparently because it was living in a domesticated environment, it was breaking a New York law. And so therefore, because some people complained that a squirrel was in a person's house, he wasn't being hid, man. The guy had like millions of followers on social media platforms. It's not like he was being, tortured or abused or anything like that. No, no, no. Peanut the Squirrel was a famous squirrel. Everybody loved this squirrel. They frothed over his content. And you know what? The reason why people are angry at the moment is because this is an egregious reach of the government. They shouldn't have done this, even though they claim that it's illegal and it's not right to have a domestic, they call them non-domesticated pets, right? So they're considered not really allowed to be in your home. Like you've got squirrels, for example. They're like wild animals. You've got raccoons, which is another animal that was also killed tragically and should never have been. But the thing that is upsetting and angering a lot of people is they could have left the squirrel alone. It wasn't hurting anybody, but some people decided they wanted to complain, anonymous complaints. So you're making a martyr out of this squirrel. And as tragic as the story is, look, I am an animal lover. I don't want any animal really to be hurt or to be killed. Now, I know that I'm a meat eater and that kind of like is a contradictory statement to make, but I think there is a humane way to kill certain animals like the animals that we eat, like cows and sheep and things like that. When it comes to wild animals like, squirrels and raccoons and cats and all that sort of stuff, we shouldn't eat them. I don't think we should. And I don't think that we should be just eradicating them because we feel like it, because, we don't like them. I don't think that's a good thing to do at all. So, and in this particular case, Peanut the Squirrel was actually helping other animals. They started a sanctuary to help endangered or animals that, are suffering, that they need a place to stay. And, I think that is a beautiful and a wonderful thing. But you know what? The government didn't seem to think so. So the number one story at the moment that is taking over the internet, and damn right it should, is Peanut the Squirrel. So here is a video of the owner going on TMZ and explaining what took place and the actual horrendous nature that they came to his house. He wasn't able to go inside of his house for 5 hours. He wasn't able to go and pee. His partner, the immigration status was checked. I mean, this is a crazy situation over a small little animal that wasn't hurting anyone, wasn't doing nothing wrong at all. So have a watch of this.
Just learned that they have euthanized Peanut.
And the raccoon as well.
And the raccoon as well. I am so sorry. This must be really difficult for you.
It not only tears my family apart, but Peanut was the cornerstone of our nonprofit animal rescue. And 10 to 12 DEC officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer. I was sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I was sat there like a criminal after they interrogated my wife to check out her immigration status, then proceeded to ask me if I had cameras in my house, then proceeded to go through every cabinet, nook, and cranny of my house for a squirrel and a raccoon.
They got a search warrant?
They got a search warrant. 4 departments and a judge signed off on a search warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon. And then they took them and killed them.
Why did they go through all that to get a search warrant for an animal that had been with you very safely, and the world witnessed this, for 7 years? Why now suddenly did they show up with a search warrant and take these animals?
We haven't a clue. We don't know who made the complaints. Again, Peanut was an indoor squirrel, not harming anybody. He's been with us for 7 years. Not a single complaint was ever filed for this animal. We had him for 7.5 years. He became the world's most famous squirrel. We weren't hiding him by any means. He was all over TikTok. He became the first squirrel on TikTok to ever hit 1 million followers. He did every news station around the world. He's helped people. He's helped kids gather joy. And then we started a nonprofit animal rescue called Peanut's Freedom Farm to help animals like Peanut fight a good fight when they're in a neglected case or they're sitting in a slaughter auction. And he was the cornerstone of our life and our organization. We used his platform to help raise money for the 300 animals we have at our sanctuary.
10 to 12 raided this guy's house. These officers came in. They got a search warrant from a judge. Now, I can only imagine what the judge must have been thinking at this particular moment. Oh, yeah, sure. Go and get this social media sensation squirrel. Go take it and take 10 to 15 officers with you. Raid this guy's home. Check his partner's immigration status. Do what you have to do. You know, like, don't be civil about it. Don't knock on his door. No, beat down the door. Go in there. Guns blazing. Make sure that he doesn't go in. Make sure he doesn't fight back. If he does, arrest him. Can you imagine, like, the judge doing this? I think it is an abuse of power. It's a massive, massive government overreach, regardless of whether or not their so-called law said, oh, you can't have a squirrel. What harm is a squirrel doing to anybody? I think it's a stupid law. Just because some laws are put in place by mad, hungry politicians and sort of that sort of thing, like, I don't think it is right or fair at all. If it doesn't make any sense, especially in this case, if it's not doing any harm, why in the world is it a law? Maybe ask yourself that question, because I know in other particular states, you've got to follow certain rules and regulations in having other animals on your property, and vice versa. You got to follow those regulations, but you're allowed to have them. But in New York, a pet squirrel, what's a squirrel going to do? A raccoon. Okay, what's the raccoon going to do? This animal was bringing joy and helping. He was a cornerstone of the animal rescue program, or the animal rescue thing that they created together. He was a cornerstone of that. Now he's gone. What happened to him? Oh, the government killed him. Absolutely unbelievable. Elon Musk actually blasts the government on Twitter or X. The government should leave people and their animals alone. Exactly. If it's not hurting anyone, if it's not doing the wrong thing, then seriously, leave it the hell alone. I think there are a lot of cruel and unkind people in the world, and they seem to think that they can do whatever the hell they want to do and ruin other people's lives in the process and not give two craps about it. And that is a problem to me. There are people out there that would have actually enjoyed seeing this take place. Believe it or not, there are some very evil, sick, and twisted people in the world. Now, this is also going around over on Twitter, X, and all that sort of stuff. And I was going to share it, but then I did some extra research and found out that this headline or this article isn't actually a real article. It is AI generated, I think, to stir issues. But a lot of people were sharing it. So I had to do my due diligence and find out, and thank God for community notes, because it came back saying that this headline or article is wrong. So it is how a squirrel became a rallying cry of the far right. After the lawful removal of an illegal pet in New York, right-wing activists called to arms by Ellen Lewis. So Community note says this is not a real article from The Atlantic. Ideas, which the image format suggests. Ellen Lewis is not a writer for The Atlantic. This is a meme about the tragic killing of Peanut, the pet squirrel, by the New York Department. Here is the actual name, so you guys are aware. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. The New York Department of Environmental Conservation. So, yes, they're doing a lot of conserving and conservating people by killing an innocent little animal called Peanut. Great job, New York. You've just created a massive rallying cry on the internet 2 days, not even 2 days out of the biggest election of our lifetime. And it looks like this whole idea of government overreach, that particular arc of the story, which is actually, it's true, in New York City, people are fed up. They're sick of it. And I think this just put the icing on the cake. People don't want the government in their business any longer. They can get lost. So, well done. You may have actually secured Donald Trump the presidency. And by the way, the media is actually saying that for some reason, I don't know how this is accurate. I really don't. But they're saying it, that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are neck and neck. That's what they're predicting. Yeah, you don't hate the mainstream media nearly enough as you should, people. So once again, I think this story is just, it's heartbreaking. It's sad. I hate seeing this sort of stuff. I hate reporting on this sort of stuff, especially when it comes to animals. But mate, like the sheer abuse of power here, it's just unbelievable. You guys take care. You be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.